to start. Just need to turn down this Wii music. There's this bossa nova mix online, and it's very nice. I like it a lot. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit on my end. I'll keep it down to like here, I guess. But anyway, yeah. So today we're gonna be looking at all of the spring 2023 seasonals. I thought it'd be a good idea to do it on a stream instead of on a video because the videos take a long time and there's a million videos that I want to do. I don't know what's better because I see big YouTubers like Giguk or Mother's Basement and things. They do both. At least Mother's Basement said today that he's going to be talking about the seasonals. Maybe he's just going to be talking about his video. I'm not really sure. But Giguk does this thing where beforehand he does a stream where he looks at all the videos and stuff. And then for me, it's like, then later he does a video of all the seasonals. So yeah, I mean, we'll double check and see. Maybe in the future I'll do both, but for right now I kind of just want to do the stream because again, a million videos on my playlist and I don't have like editors and things besides myself. I do all the videos, so it can be pretty tough sometimes to do like both a video and this. So we're gonna do this. Another video I wanted to do was Suzume, which is the next movie by Makoto Shinkai. He did Your Name and Weathering With You and stuff, and I thought about doing a video for that as well. I also hate editing. Well, that's not true actually. I'm trying to become an editor and things like professionally and stuff. So editing for me, it's pretty fun, but obviously there are times where it's extremely tedious. So yeah, I mean, I like doing it sometimes. If the video is easy, then it's okay, but sometimes it can be very difficult. I hate starting, I love finishing. Honestly, that's editing. It's literally like math. Math kind of sucks. It sucks to start and I hate it. But once you finish it, you have that satisfaction of, wow, I did this. It's the same with editing, you know? Like, you start it and you're like, this sucks. But then when it's ended, you can see the final product and it's like, dang, that's amazing. But yeah. Anyway, we're gonna go through today's seasonals. We're probably just gonna go down in order of what released first. I've watched every single one. Well, not every single one that I'm interested in. And like usual, if you haven't seen any of my seasonal videos, we probably won't be going over sequels. So yeah. I guess let's start with Heavenly Delusion. So what I was planning on doing was maybe showing trailers of it in the background. It really depends though, because sometimes when you show these trailers, sometimes they can get copyright stricken. So I've had that happen on a bunch of my seasonal videos and stuff. And then sometimes the animes themselves just can't be shown, which is honestly really annoying. I don't like that. But anyway, oh, maybe also what I was planning on doing was just showing images from the show, so I could bring up, what is it, Crunchyroll or Hulu? This is on Hulu, by the way. I could bring up Hulu and then just show up images. But I could probably just do that on something else. So just give me 1 second, actually. Am I even logged on to Hulu on my thing? I'm not sure. Also, this is kind of a test of no. Oh, it just automatically started on Heavenly Delusion, which is great. I like that a lot. But yeah, so if you haven't heard of Heavenly Delusion, it was kind of like a hyped up manga. People were pretty excited about it, honestly. So I was kind of eyeing it on my own list as well, and it finally came out this season. So I was pretty excited about that. But if you don't know what it is, it's about these two kids. They live in a society where like something happened in the past, and it caused like this like great like earthquake and things, and everything's bad, and not many people, or at least from what I'm watching and things, there's not very many people around to like spread out and stuff. Like Japan is kind of like destroyed essentially and stuff. And there's this girl right here. Her name is Kiriko, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Kiriko. And then her friend is named Maru. And both of them go on a journey because Maru takes Kiriko to a place known as Heaven. They don't know exactly what it is, but they know that there's a person there that Maru needs to see and give this like vial of like medicine or something. I have no idea exactly what it is, but it's some vial of some sort, and it's supposed to help all their problems. So that's basically Heavily Delusion in a nutshell. It's done by Production IG, and I love Production IG. They do things like Run with the Wind, and Haikyuu, and Welcome to the Ballroom, and a bunch of other like. I like them because they do a bunch of sports anime, and I love sports anime. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Production IG, and they do a really good job here. The character designs in this show are kind of basic, honestly. They're not like the most intricate thing ever, you know? Let's see if I can show you some pictures. So like here's the character designs. I mean, they're kind of okay. They got these rounded faces and like these easy like simple eyes and whatnot. So this society, for some reason, at least from what Kiriko has some kind of gun, and that gun is like an electric gun or something, and it like shoots beams. So this is probably some kind of futuristic society, but like since this whole like big like destruction of humanity happened, it seems like nobody has any of these things. But interspersed with all this stuff, for some reason, there's like flashbacks of their past. So when they're children, they're confined in these walls. It's kind of like Promised Neverland. And with Promised Neverland, they're confined in these walls, and then on the outside, they're not allowed to go. And for some reason, it seems like in this show, on the outside, they're also not allowed to go, but you see them there kind of walking around and stuff. So we don't exactly know how they got out yet. There's only 3 episodes out, and I've only watched 2 of them. So from what I've seen, we don't know how they've gotten out yet, but they keep showing flashbacks and things of like their past, and Kiriko isn't really prominently seen in these flashbacks. Actually, it's more Maru, and with Maru, it seems like he might have a crush on her, maybe. Maybe in the 2nd episode you find that out, but who knows? You gotta watch it yourself. But yeah, honestly I enjoy it. I just think right now there's not really much to say. I feel like it's more interesting in terms of like, oh yeah, in the 1st episode there's like these monsters. I forget what they're called, but like there's these big monsters. They absorb people, and they're very fast, they're very big, they're very scary. So Kiriko, with her like beam gun thing, can actually destroy these monsters. So that's what she ends up doing with Maru. Maru also has some ability where like if he touches these monsters and things, he can go inside them and like destroy them from the inside, which is pretty cool. Like there's a lot that we don't really know, and things like they're kind of walking around, they're looking for heaven and things. They meet some people. Some of these people have devious intentions, some of these people don't, and then they're just trying to find heaven right now. So exactly what's gonna happen, I'm not really sure, but that's Heavenly Delusion. I enjoy it right now, but like again, there's not really much happening, so I can't really say for sure. Oh, whoopsies, I forgot to put that. I watched the 2nd episode. But yeah, I'm not really sure exactly what's going on right now, but it's definitely interesting enough to keep watching, so I'm definitely going to check that out. Like I mentioned in the beginning, it's on Hulu, so if you want to watch it on anything, it's on Hulu. But if you're out of the States, I don't know if everywhere else is the same, but at least in Japan, it's on Disney Plus. So yeah, if you're interested in that, you can check that out on Hulu. Oh, the openings, I guess. This opening is actually one of the only openings this season that I actually kind of enjoy. I think all the other ones are kind of bad. I'm not gonna lie. They're not too bad, I guess, but they're just not my favorite. So yeah, that's Heavenly Delusion in a nutshell. I'm gonna skim through the episode just to see if I missed anything. Oh, since the character designs are pretty simple, the animation's pretty good. Like, they have some fights with the thing, with those big enemies that I was talking to you about and stuff. And the fights are pretty exciting. I like them a lot. But yeah, I guess I covered everything already, so we're gonna move on to the next one. Next show is Hell's Paradise. So, don't get mad at me, but I don't really like Hell's Paradise so far. I mean, to be fair, I'm pretty sure it's a long-running shonen. I don't know if it's finished yet, actually. Let's find out. It is finished, so it's not very long. It's only 128 chapters. That's pretty short, actually. That's kind of like Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer is like 20 volumes. I'm not 100% sure, but Demon Slayer is also pretty short. So this one's pretty short too. So hopefully the story that they tell is pretty concise and to the point. I didn't really like the first episode, but the first episode was kind of just a setup. So before we get into that, Hell's Paradise is a part of this thing called the horror trilogy that everyone likes to call some of the new shonen. So it's Chainsaw Man, Hell's Paradise, and one more show. I can't remember. What's the last show? Oh, Jujutsu Kaisen. That's the last one. So there's a bunch of shows where it's like kind of violent and horror based. This is no different, but it takes place in like a samurai era, which is kind of cool. Not the hugest fan of the samurai era, but I don't mind it. I think it's kind of cool, honestly, for somewhat. But yeah, let's get into the story. So the story is about this guy. His name is, Gabimaru. When I hear Gabimaru, I think of the Slime Show, if you've ever seen that show. There's a goblin in that show called Gabimaru. I'm gonna check it. Slime Show. There it is. It's this guy. It's not a goblin, actually. It's a lizard. I was thinking of the goblin. Oh, what's his name? I can't remember. Oh, yeah, but there's like a funny goblin guy who has like a circle head and things, and he's kind of funny. Gobita. There we go. That's what his name is. That's who I was thinking of at first. But yeah, this is Gabimaru. Anyway, Gabimaru, he has this reputation of being this guy known as the Hollow. He's like that because he killed like 13 to 15 guys all in one room, and he's just kind of a terror on society. He's kind of like an assassin for hire, kind of. In the first episode, we kind of see him, and he's already on trial for getting killed because, he's been doing all these bad things and stuff. So they try to execute him in many different ways. The entire first episode is just like a bunch of like funny execution things, and I'm like, okay, well, this is kind of strange, but whatever. But it's to showcase that Gabimaru can't die for some reason, but all he wants to do is die. So it's like, okay, that's fine, I guess. Then he meets this one girl. Her name is Sagiri Yamada Asamone. A very long name, but the Yamada Asamone is like a family of executioners and stuff, and you learn about it more in the second episode. But in the first episode, you see her. Hello. In the first episode, you see her, and she's about to execute Gabimaru, but for some reason, Gabimaru, when she's about to slash him, Gabimaru jumps away, and he's just like, why am I jumping away? I don't want to die, or I do want to die, but why am I jumping away? And then the girl is just like, oh, well, it seems like you're attached to something. That's why you don't want to die. And I'm like, what? So then they explain it. He has a wife, and his wife is handpicked by someone. I can't remember. Some like prince or something. I can't remember. But the wife is handpicked. At first, Kamimaru doesn't really like this wife, but the wife and him have something in common. They're both kind of outcasts. The wife got like branded literally. In her face, she has this massive scar. And the way they get along is Gabimaru doesn't mind because he's killed so many people. He doesn't mind seeing a woman with a scar. It's not really anything too big or anything. And the woman doesn't really like Gabimaru's like assassin lifestyle, I don't believe, but she still kind of like takes care of him. And Gabimaru likes his wife so much, he's just like, I don't want to be a part of this lifestyle anymore, and I don't want to do this. And then we realize why he killed those 12 or 13 people. It was because he got set up or something by one of the princes or the land of the princes of the land. I don't remember exactly what they're called. The I don't know. Anyway, so he gets set up. He kills all those people, and then he's about to get executed. But instead of getting executed, he doesn't, and the show kind of ends there. Or at least the first episode kind of ends there. The woman's just like, well, obviously, if you don't want to die, then we need your help with something. The next episode, they talk about this place called Hell's Paradise. It's a place full of mystery. They don't know exactly what it is, but what they do know is that the people who were sent there come back and they turn into flowers or something. It's pretty interesting. It's one of those concepts where it's like, I don't really know exactly what's gonna happen or what's on this island, but all we know that it's dangerous, but there's like this immortality elixir thing that the people there are trying to get. So this elixir, nobody wants to get it because they already sent people there and the people were dying a lot. So what the main guy does, the prince guy, we're just going to refer to him as Prince this entire time, he says that all of these prisoners either die or they go to this Hell's Paradise place to find this elixir. And a lot of them don't, well, a lot of them were just like, okay, yeah, let's do this. But then the guy's just like, we don't have enough room for everyone. So then they start brawling and things. And then they choose like the specific people to go to Hell's Paradise. And that's kind of the whole story. They just try to go to Hell's Paradise. It seems like there's a lot of quirky people. Like we get established to like a bunch of random assassin people and stuff. They all specialize in various things and whatnot, and it's pretty interesting. The second episode, we learned a lot about the girl assassin, or the girl executioner. She's part of this family who's a bunch of executioners and things, and she wants to execute just like her father did, where it's just painless, and it's just like one slice. But instead of that, she struggles killing people, which is normal, obviously. You know, but she's a part of this executioner family and she wants to do well. She slices and it seems like it's okay, but then she has these anxieties of like, oh, I don't really want to kill people and I feel bad because like the people, you can see them within her sword and things. Like she can see all of the people that she's killed and whatnot, and it's like, oof. But yeah, she's very scared of that, and Gabimaru kind of like helps her like bring her back, I guess, from all of her like hallucinations and delusions and stuff. So honestly, there's not enough to really tell like, oh, if I like this, do I not like this, you know? I think honestly it's fine so far. I assume it's going to get more and more interesting as time goes on. We're probably going to learn more about the Hell's Paradise itself. And yeah, it's going to be pretty fun, hopefully. I mean, a lot of people have been hyping this up. They really enjoy this show, and it's done by Mappa. You know, Mappa's crazy. That's how it goes. Give me 1 second, I gotta take a drink of water. I've been talking nonstop. But yeah, that's Hell's Paradise. Oh, speaking of Hell's Paradise, actually, this guy, Gabimaru, I thought he was voiced by the guy who does Tsukishima from Haikyuu. Let me go to Haikyuu for real fast. This guy, because his voice is very distinct and he plays these characters that are basically emotionless, or at least sound emotionless and stuff. I thought it was him because this guy sounds the exact same, and he's in 3 shows, or at least I thought he was in 3 shows, but it's actually him for this show and Yamada, I believe, the Yamada and 99 Lives or whatever. Let me double check that actually. Okay, so the Yamada one is voiced by him. I was like, it sounds the same. I think there's one more that he was in as well. It wasn't Skip and Loafer, which we will get to, because I watched that one and I enjoyed that one. Oh, it's Mashal. He plays Mash, this guy. So yeah, another voice actor that sounds kind of close to him, but it's whatever. Well, that's Hell's Paradise. I did not watch My Home Hero because, honestly, like, if you look at the score, it's not super high. The premise was kind of interesting, though. It's, like, about this guy who's trying to protect his daughter because her daughter got abused by her boyfriend, and then they accidentally murder the boyfriend. So it's like, what is it? The syndicate tries to find out what happened to him and stuff, and the wife and the main character are trying to like hide that. And it sounds interesting. And the adaptation, or the manga, is ranked pretty high, so maybe the manga is better than the anime. Maybe the anime adaptation is bad, but I have no idea. I didn't watch this show because I honestly wasn't too interested in it. Also, I just didn't really have much time. But anyway, this one was kind of interesting to me too. I didn't end up watching this one, but maybe I'll check this one out eventually. It's called The Dangers in My Heart. It was ranked pretty well, and I saw that I was getting an adaptation, and I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. He's a middle school student, but in his heart, he dreams of murder. It's kind of funny. Let's see here. Yeah, so then it's like a romance and things. They get kind of close to each other and stuff, and then I guess they realize specific things about each other. I'm not 100% sure, but anyway, yeah, I didn't check out that one. Eden Zero I got to get to. I watched almost all of Fairy Tail, and I enjoy his work. And I've watched the first 4 episodes of the first season, so I'll get to the second season eventually. But let's get to Yamada. My love story with Yamada at level 999. I watched this one. I only watched 1 episode of it, but from the 1 episode that I watched, I was pretty engaged. I liked this show kind of a lot. I'm not gonna lie. I think it might have been due to like the animation and the direction. For some reason, it felt very Chihaya Furu-ish. The main character, girl, kind of feels like Chihaya in some kind of way. I don't know exactly how, I'm not gonna lie. Let me show you an actual picture. Yamada-kun. Alright, yeah, this is her. She looks a lot like Chihaya from Chihaya Furu. And the way the direction is, there we go. I mean, it's kind of similar. It's a little different. Obviously, she has brown eyes. The animation's a little different, but it looks like it was actually done by the Chihaya Furu people. At least in terms of direction, it is done by the Chihaya Furu people. I was looking at some forum and someone said that it was, and I was like, oh, okay. It's really interesting because I like the way that person directs, where they have like the hazy backgrounds, like in romance and stuff. Thank you. Yeah, they have the hazy backgrounds in romance and stuff, and then like the character like fades into the background and stuff, and then they have those little like I don't know if you guys have seen it in manga, but in manga sometimes they have the thoughts right next to the characters, but like they're not like the actual like speaking. It's just like a couple characters that just kind of float next to them. This show kind of does that too, but it's a show, not a manga. They do a lot more in manga than in shows. What's a show that does it? Komi. Komi does it really well too. Komi has a lot of those, and the show adapts that pretty well, which is pretty nice. But anyway, this Yamada show is about this girl named Akane. She gets dumped by her boyfriend because the boyfriend finds a girlfriend on this video game that he was playing, and the girlfriend is very upset. Like the ex-girlfriend, Akane. She's very upset, obviously, and she's just like, I hate gamer guys. They just, just like she just hates them because like he showed her how to play this game, and she got kind of invested in the game. But then he dumps her, and then he wants like a rare item back or something, or some like item of his back, and I'm like, this is terrible. So she gets mad, and then she just kind of blows off steam in the game. Then she meets some guy who's like, he's very unresponsive, and he's kind of antisocial and stuff in the game, but he's a part of her guild. So she talks to him a bit and things, and she's just like, wow, this guy sucks. Like, this is why I hate gamer guys and things. They're really like, all they think about is the stuff that they want to do in game, and they don't think about my feelings and relationships and whatnot, because she kind of vents to him and things, and it doesn't really matter. But anyway, there's this big event for the game where you get some rare item. So she goes to this big event, trying to actually show up the boyfriend and things. Like, she was gonna look nice and things, and she was gonna kind of like, yeah, like show him up and things. It's pretty funny. And then by coincidence, she meets Yamada, because Yamada's like this quiet guy. It's this guy right here. It's kind of like this quiet guy. He doesn't really say much and things. We realize that he's actually a pro gamer. He plays like FPS games and stuff. So she meets her boyfriend there, her ex-boyfriend, and the boyfriend already has another girlfriend, and she tries her best to, you know, stay like keep face and stuff, but she sees Yamada and she's just like, oh, Yamada's my boyfriend and stuff, and then like the ex-boyfriend is just like, dang, how do you know him? I'm so sad and stuff. And I'm like, wow, it's fun. But eventually, obviously, like, something sparks the relationship and things. Like, the Yamada guy's not all like down in the dumps and like, you know, cares about himself and whatnot. He actually does things for Yamada and things. Yamada cuts herself on her leg, and then he gets her a band-aid from the local store while they're at like a bar and stuff, and she's just like, oh, maybe this guy could be interesting, and that's kind of how it goes. So yeah, it's just another romance show. It kind of reminds me of what's that show called? I know the Japanese name. Oh, Recovery of an MMO Junkie. It's kind of like that because they're both adults. They're college students. Trying to think. There's another show too. Oh, and You Thought There Was Never a Girl Online. Like another one of those type of shows. It could also be like Wotakoi. Wotakoi 2. That one's pretty good. I like Wotakoi a lot. But yeah, that's this show. I think the animation is really good because by Madhouse, and Madhouse doesn't really make much anymore, which kind of sucks. But yeah, that's about it. Let's see. Oh yeah, the opening is by Kanabun, and if you don't know Kanabun, they're the people who did like the famous Naruto opening, the you know that one? Yeah, I love that one. They also do a bunch of different openings too, but I like Kanabun a lot. They're pretty fun. Yeah, that's this show. I don't really have much else to say about it besides the animation's good, the story seems like it's gonna be kind of interesting, and yeah. Oh, the soundtrack is done by the guy who does the the Wonder Egg Priority soundtrack, DD Mouse, I'm pretty sure that's what his name is. His music is pretty good, I enjoy it, but if you've played Persona 4 Dancing, he makes a remix of the Shadow World song, and it's bad. It does not sound good. Let me play it, actually, the DD Mouse Shadow World song. It doesn't sound very good, in my opinion. You can kind of hear it here. It just kind of sounds like it's all over the place. I mean, that's kind of how his music is, but it just doesn't sound good. Yeah, you get it. But yeah, that's Yamada at level 999. It's gonna be a gamer show, so we'll see how it progresses. There's a couple of good romances this season, so I'm gonna check them out and whatnot. Oh, gotta put the music back on. There we go. Alright, what's next? There's a lot of isekai this season. A lot of sequels, like Eden Zero. This is the Kuma Kuma Bear show that's getting a sequel, which I didn't realize. What is this show? Yeah, this is another isekai. Reincarnating the world of swords and magic. There's too many of these. I'm not gonna lie. Not the biggest fan of them. But yeah, so I just don't end up watching them. I have a friend who watches almost every single like isekai show. Kind of just like as a time waster and stuff. But yeah. Oh, the next show. Oh, I did want to watch this one because it's a Kazuna Ai like show. I was like, oh, that's kind of fun. It's ranked very badly though, so I don't know how it is, but it's done by Wit Studio and Signal MD. Signal MD is kind of an okay studio. They're not the greatest. Have I seen anything by them? I've seen this, and I've seen this, and they look nice. Oh, they did this? I didn't know that actually. And this is pretty good, so I guess they have some stuff that's pretty okay. But yeah, I haven't heard really much about this one, but I heard kind of bad things, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, Skip and Loafer. Probably my favorite romance of the three that I watched. I like the art style of this one a lot. It's pretty cool. Let me just pull it up. Skip and Loafer. I thought it was going to autofill. It did not. Yeah, it looked kind of interesting. She has kind of like that mob face where it's like very simple and stuff. And then here's the other main character guy, but she's the main character. I forget what her name is. Mitsumi, that's what her name is. So she's got her whole life planned out. She lives in like this small like town and such, and she moves to Tokyo because she wants to get an education at a better school, and through the better school she's gonna eventually go into college, a good college, and then she wants to become like a lawyer or something, and she wants to like protect her like small hometown and stuff, and everyone's gonna love her and respect her and things, but obviously that's not how it goes. As much as she wants to plan out her life, that's just never how it goes. So then she leaves on a train to school on her first day, and she's just like, oh, it's easy, you know, just the first 2 stops. Obviously it's not easy because she gets lost. And then as she gets lost, she meets this guy. He seems like the perfect guy, you know, he looks nice, he is nice, all of that. I'm sure later on we'll probably learn more about him where he's just like, oh, well, he's not as nice as he seems. He's different on the inside. Their connection, it's like an instant connection. I already really like their dynamic, and I like how it's shown really fast, where it's like, because she shows a real part of herself to him, but right now it seems like he's still kind of closed off. So maybe we'll see more of him later, but so he knows how to get to school and things, but he's kind of like he overslept, so she was late, but he's also late. Later on we learn that he's kind of like I guess kind of like a delinquent, I guess. He doesn't really get to school on time and whatnot. You kind of usually just call those delinquents. but when they're on the final stretch, she kind of like races her way there because she really wants to get there because she's a prominent figure in the opening ceremony, and she doesn't want to miss it because, you know, she's giving a speech there. So she runs, she takes off her shoes and runs as fast as possible, and the guy like runs, and he seems kind of interested in this girl. So yeah, they make it to the entrance ceremony. She says a speech, and she says it perfectly, because she's a good student, but she's really clumsy and not like the greatest at like time management and whatnot, but she's really good in terms of grades and whatnot. She ends up saying the entire speech, but then she gets sick and then throws up on a t-shirt. Speaking of that, the show is really funny. Like, it made me laugh at almost every turn. I like it a lot. Let's see here. Now she's gonna be known as like the barfer or whatnot, and she's gonna have trouble making friends, but she's just like, she tries to spin everything in a good direction, so she tries to meet people. And nobody really wants to, like, you know, talk with her until that hot guy comes in, and then everyone's just like, oh, you know him? Let me get your like contact info and stuff. And yeah, it seems like it's just gonna be like a slice comedy, like a rom-com slice comedy. But yeah, I really like the characters. I like the animation. The dynamic between the two characters is pretty fun. I like that a lot. And yeah, that's Skip and Loafer. Big fan. It's by PA Works too. PA Works seems to be stepping out of their bounds, because if you don't know, PA Works usually only does like originals. They don't do very many like new stuff, or like adaptations, I should say. Because like this is an original, this is an original, this is an adaptation. They just started doing adaptations recently. I'm pretty sure this is also an adaptation as well. Oh no, this is also an original. Yeah, so they make a lot of original works and things. But they've been branching out recently, so that's kind of nice. But yeah, I'm excited to see more about this show. I kind of like it. So yeah, it's Skip and Loafer. What's the next show? The Konosuba spin-off. So I only watched one episode of this. Same with Skip and Loafer. And I've seen all of Konosuba. I like Konosuba a lot. There's been some kind of talk and things on Twitter about like how Konosuba is dumb, and it was actually a bad show. But when I watched it when I was younger, it was good, but now it's bad and stuff, and whatever. Doesn't matter. What I like is Konosuba, and Konosuba is funny to me. I haven't watched it in a long time, but I enjoy it. So this Konosuba spin-off is literally just about Megumin and her rise to becoming like that wizard, that arc wizard who really only knows explosion magic and whatnot. So then she goes through school, and you know, Yunyun's there as well, the one who just gets kind of like shafted the entire time. I just feel bad for her. If she was in a different show, she would be like, I don't know, a more prominent side character, I guess. I don't know, but she's kind of just like shafted. The whole thing with like the Crimson Demons or the Crimson Magic Clan, that's what it is that they're like all like weirdos. Like they all like if you know the term chunbyo and things, they act like they're more powerful than they actually are, but they're like not, you know, they kind of just act and whatnot. That's kind of all of the Crimson Magic Clan. This episode was fun. It kind of introduced us to like the whole school and what exactly they're doing. How explosion magic is actually bad, but she actually was interested in it because of this one girl that she met. The girl saved her, or she saw her doing explosion magic, and then she was like, okay, well, I'll try explosion magic too. But then the girl's like, oh, don't use explosion magic because it's bad. But yeah, the explosion magic's not too bad. Or at least we know in the future that she gets explosion magic, but it can be bad because she can only use it once per day. But the lady that we saw in the first episode used it and didn't like fall down or whatever. So there's probably something more to it. But yeah, that's kind of just it. There's not really much to say about this one. It's just like a fun, like comedy side story type thing. Um, yeah, not really much else to say. Um, I don't remember the opening, I'm not gonna lie. Because it was the first episode, so the openings usually play at the very end. That's kind of how it goes. Let's see here. That's about it. I mean, the new Konosuba's are being done by a new studio called Drive. I've never heard of them before. They're doing the new Uzumaki, which is interesting. Oh, and they also did this show. This show was kind of interesting. I heard about it. It's done by the guy who did Ghost in the Shell, I believe. It is, yeah. And it was like a vampire show, and it was kind of weird. I don't know how it did. I feel like it didn't do very well, but it is what it is. This new studio, I hope they do good things, because Studio Dean did Konosuba before, but now it's kind of just like done by Drive, so in any case, let's move on. That's kind of about it for that. Quickly, let's talk about Dr. Stone. I like Dr. Stone a lot, and the new season's finally continuing. It's been a while, like a long while, since the last season. Pretty sure the last season came out in 2021. Well, this came out in 2022, which is a special, which is actually important. But before that, when did Stone War come out? Okay, it was 2021, so it's been like 2 years. But yeah, I like Dr. Stone a lot. I wasn't the biggest fan of Stone War, but I really liked Dr. Stone the first season, and Ryusei was really good, and so was this season. It's more of just like, him creating things and becoming like, trying to figure out the source of this whole like problem. So yeah, that's just a really quick thing. I kind of wanted to watch this one because it's called Yuri is My Job, and I'm like, what the heck? I kept seeing it on like the shelves whenever I'd go to like I want to say Borders, but Borders doesn't exist anymore, like Barnes and Noble or Second and Charles and things. And I was always kind of interested in it. Obviously, it's a Yuri. It was published in a Yuri magazine. Let's see what exactly it is. Oh, it's like a cafe type thing where they pose as like girls from school. All girls academy theme. Which reminds her of a troubling event in her past. This is done by Passion, or Passione, or I don't know how you pronounce it, but they've done some things like this show, which was very interesting, and then Mirako-chan. I did not know they did that. What else did they do? They did the last season of High School DxD, and they did Citrus, which I dropped. I hate Citrus. As an anime, it's not great, but as like a Yuri, it's fine. It's pretty good, I guess. If you're just watching it just as like a smut type thing, then go ahead. Yeah, it's pretty good, I guess. But as an anime, it's not very good in my opinion. This was a big surprise. This was continuing Ancient Magus Bride, and I was like, dang, this hasn't aired since 2017, I believe. Yeah, I never thought this would get a second season. I watched like 10 episodes of this, and honestly, I was kind of bored. The world building is really interesting, but I'm not really a big fan of Chisei as a character. I don't really know much about her, and the show didn't really tell us much about her, I feel. And then Elias was pretty interesting. They also didn't really tell us much about him. It just felt like it was more world building than anything, so that's kind of why I wasn't the biggest fan of it. But yeah, that's that one. Let's see here. There's a couple shows I have not seen. Like there's another isekai show. I don't know what this is actually. This just seems like a fantasy show. Oh, it's a harem. I'm not a big fan of harems. I don't think they're very good. This show is continuing. People really like this show. It's Over the Moon for You. It's a romance show. This main guy, his name is NASA, which is funny. I think he likes space or whatnot. And then there's this girl. Her name is Sukasa. Um, NASA gets into an accident things. Or wait, is that either NASA or Sukasa? One of them get into an accident and things. And then they save one another. Don't remember exactly how it goes. And then out of nowhere, they make a promise. And they're like, oh, I'm going to marry you. And then he thinks it's just a joke. But it's not a joke. She actually wants to marry him. And they get married. And I'm like, what? And that's the entire show. It's like them kind of getting into a romance and whatnot. It's by the same guy who did some other really popular work that I can't remember off the top of my head. Let's find out. Oh, this one. Hayate the Combat Butler. Very popular show in the past. But yeah, he did that show. Let's see what else there is. This show is actually really interesting. I didn't watch it, to be fair, but the opening is really cool. I'll show you the opening real fast. I'm gonna show it without music, because, you know, copyright and whatnot, if I get copyright stricken. But yeah, I'll show it to you. I just like the visuals a lot, because I was watching it and it looks very like Trigger, or not Trigger, like a old Gainax. I mean, I guess that's kind of Trigger. Like, I like the designs a lot, and then you can see how smooth it is. But the opening itself is really weird. Like, there's a lot of like strange thing about. Like, he just swallowed a fish. But yeah, it reminds me of really old Gainax, and it's really cool. I enjoyed the opening a lot. It's just very weird. Not the biggest fan of this song itself. Ew. But yeah, this, for some reason, it just feels very Trigger, old Gainax-y. Let's see. Otaku culture has been obliterated by a mysterious organization. The misadventures of an otaku hero. Magic girls who admire him. This sounds kind of interesting, I'm not gonna lie. I might check this one out, but I don't know. We'll see. It's just the opening was kind of interesting. Let's move on to the next one. Birdie Wing got a second season. Yeah, put it on your list. Yeah, it does look like very old Gainax. I don't know if the show actually looks like that, though. I know that the opening looks like that. Like, you know, look at the characters here. They look a lot cleaner. But the opening, for some reason, looks a lot like old Gainax, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I'm probably going to check it out as well. I did not get a chance to watch it, though. Yeah, Birdie Wing got a second season. I wasn't expecting it to get a second season because it was original from last season. I dropped it because I thought it was a little too over the top, but I think that's why people like it so much, because it is very over the top. I might check it out again, honestly, because I heard people like it. The Mother's Basement, he said he enjoyed it. And I like sports shows, so maybe it'll get better, but I don't know. We'll see. Next was Mashal. I was pretty excited about this one because I read the first 2 chapters of it, and I was a very big fan. I liked it a lot. It's made by a guy who seems like he really likes One Punch Man and like the creator one. Giga liked Birdie Wing too. It seems like a lot of people liked Birdie Wing. Maybe because it was just super over the top. And I'm not the biggest fan of super over-the-top sports shows. The only one that I've watched, I'm pretty sure, I watched Kuroko no Basket, and I wasn't the biggest fan of that one, even though a lot of people like that one. And then I watched Keijo, which I thought Keijo was just a little too outrageous, but like even then I watched like 6 episodes of it. But I dropped it. I didn't drop it, no, I put it on hold. I'll probably continue it one of these days. But yeah. Mashal's about this kid. His name is Mash. He lives in a society where everyone uses magic, everyone. But for some reason, he was not born with any magical ability. I don't know why. Maybe they'll explain it later. But he lives with like this old guy. He was abandoned as a child, Mash. And he lives with this old guy. This old guy he knows that he doesn't use magic and stuff like Mash, so he trains him to become as strong as possible. It sounds a lot like Black Clover, if you ever seen that, where it's like the main character doesn't know magic and he's in a magic fulfilled society. So what he does is he strengthens his strength and he becomes very strong. I want to watch Black Clover, by the way, but it's very long. We'll probably get to it. Anyway, um, yeah, so it seems like Mashal gets discovered by like these magical policemen and stuff, and the magical policemen uh, get destroyed by Mashal. Like Mashal's very strong, and he deflects magic and does whatnot. And the police officer gives Mashal two choices. It's one, either I'll turn you in, or two, become noticed and notable instead of being like isolated in this place and become like the best wizard of this academy and stuff, even though he knows no magic. So he accepts and he does it. Um, the show is extremely funny because it's, again, he's very inspired by one. So the character designs look a lot like one characters. I'll look it up real fast. Yeah, the character designs look very like One Punch Man I guess. Um, yeah, it's pretty funny. I enjoy it a lot. Again, I've only watched one episode and I've only read two chapters, which covered the first episode. So I don't know what happens next, but I'm excited to see more. I enjoyed it, so yeah, I'm excited to see what it's all about. Um, I wasn't a big fan of the opening, but I thought the ending was really funny. It's all about like cream puffs and stuff because he really likes cream puffs. That's how the police discover him. He goes into town for cream puffs after his pseudo father says don't go into town, but he goes anyway for like these cream puffs. I'm like, that's kind of funny. And the entire ending is about cream puffs, and there's really good dancing in the ending too. I guess I'll show you that ending, or ed. The ending song itself too is also really good. I like it a lot. Obviously, custard, chocolate. That's how it starts. I'm like, oh gosh. And then there's the cream puffs. Um, and there's a bunch of dancing in the opening like this. It's pretty smooth, honestly. I like it. It's kind of fun. It's fun. I like it a lot. It seems like all these characters are probably going to be wacky and zany, you know? So, I don't know. We'll see. Um, I'm excited. I think it's going to be a pretty interesting show. And it's made by A1. And A1, at least recently, has been kind of bad in terms of like production. They've been having a bunch of production issues and stuff. Like there was like so many shows last season that got delayed, and they were made by A1, but it could not be just an A1 problem. It could be an Aniplex problem too. I'm not 100% sure, but things like the Near anime got delayed, and like let's look last season. Let's see what got delayed. I can't remember. That's how it goes. But this one definitely got delayed. Near. It's. I think they're gonna re-air one of these shows. Oh, this one got delayed too. They're gonna re-air, I think, the entirety of this show. This got delayed too, but this isn't by A1. It's by someone else. Yeah, there was a lot of shows that were delayed last season. I don't know why, but it is what it is. Anyway, next show on the list is I didn't get a chance to watch this one, but I wanted to watch it. It's called Blue Orchestra, and it's about orchestra. It seems like. Let's see here. Plays violin in the room. She's a bully. Enrolling school to orchestra, but amateur playing and lack of music knowledge. Between friends. Okay, it sounds like what's it? Sounds like July and April, kind of, where it's like the main character kind of has like a tragic backstory, and there's this one girl who doesn't really know, um, or this one girl who's very good at instrumental things, and then it's like the two of them, they get into a relationship, but while also learning more about like music and whatnot. So yeah, that's Blue Orchestra. It seems kind of interesting. I didn't get a chance to watch it though, but I might check it out. So we'll see. This is continuing this season. Very popular show from last season, the Mobile Suit Gundam show, Witch of Mercury. Um, I did not get a chance to watch it, but it looked interesting. The premise reminded me a lot of Utena, where it's like, what is it? I can't remember exactly, but it sounded so much like it. Oh yeah, yeah. Right and wrong are determined by duels between students, and the top duelist will receive this person as their fiance. That's literally the plot of Utena. I'm not even joking. If you've ever seen Utena, which I'm gonna make a review about actually soon, which is interesting. But yeah, so it's basically people call it Space Utena, which is funny, and it is also Yuri, so kind of like Utena. But in my opinion, I don't think Utena's, at least the main like TV show is Yuri. There's probably it's like it's more bait to me than anything. People will debate against me for that, but that's what I think. Um, Obviously, Demon Slayer is airing this season. I didn't watch the second episode yet. I watched the first one, but I watched it in theaters when it was out then. Um, the first episode is an hour long, just like the previous season, and it was interesting. We get to meet the new girl, the Love Hashira, and then we meet the Mist Hashira too, but we don't really get to actually meet him more in the second episode, I believe. Um, but yeah, that's that show. There's Demon Slayer. Uh, what's next? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So this one, Insomniacs After School. I actually literally just finished this one. I was watching it before I came on to here. Um, it's kind of interesting. There's this whole like story about like there was an astronomy club in this school, but then the astronomy club got disbanded because one of the people ended up killing herself, and then for some reason everyone else ended up dying or something, and now the ghosts haunt the school. They closed the observatory, and then now the ghosts kind of haunt the school. But it doesn't seem like that's true. It's maybe, I don't know. I only watched the first episode. Oh, you love this one? Yeah, I haven't seen this one or in full or like more than just one episode, I guess. Um, this is the third romance. Yeah, this one it was pretty interesting. It gave me the vibes of like Call of the Night and stuff. These two main characters, this guy Ganta, he's a character who has trouble sleeping. That's why it's called Insomniacs After School. He has trouble sleeping, and he kind of stays up all night, kind of just like anxious, and he becomes irritable in the morning. Um, so then he discovers Observatory. Leading Films doesn't mess it up. The manga's highly rated. Yes, the manga is very highly rated, actually. I don't think Leading Films would mess it up. I think Leading Films, a lot of people don't really like them, I feel, but I feel like they're not super bad, at least in terms of like how the things look. Now, in terms of how things are adapted, you could debate on that. But I think, honestly, I think the things they make are kind of, they're fine, you know? I watched this one, the animation was awful for that one. That's a bad example. I watched this one, I watched all of it, and I hated it. But that's just for personal reasons, honestly. The animation is phenomenal for that show. Um, what else did they do? They did this show. I didn't realize that. I still gotta watch that one. Kotaro's Never Alone or something. It's on Netflix. Gotta check that one out. Oh, they also did Tokyo Revengers, which doesn't look bad, honestly. I enjoyed Tokyo Revengers, the adaptation. I don't know how it was compared to the manga, but I enjoyed it. But hopefully they do a good job, yeah. But to continue the whole thing, he goes into the observatory. He kind of stumbles into it. Oh, I could sort it by score, yeah. But we just went through it all. It's fine. Um, but yeah, so he stumbles into the observatory and he finds this girl there. Her name is Isaki. and Isaki's there because it's her little hideout spot because she just wants to sleep because she has the same problem as Ganta. Ooh, big surprise. Um, so then the two of them kind of connect based on that, and then they kind of create this like little club, I guess, where they kind of observe the town and things because they can't sleep, and the town they realize is very beautiful, and they learn a lot more about themselves, and it seems like a budding romance is happening, which is true because it's a romance show. It's pretty nice. Yeah, it does give me the Call of the Night vibes. Literally, I'm pretty sure it's about the exact same, where the main character is an insomniac as well. He walks around at nighttime, then he meets a vampire girl, and the two of them kind of like get into a romance together as well. So yeah, that's that show. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot, honestly. I would like to see more of it, but I don't know if there's more than one episode out for it yet. Let me double check, actually. No, there's definitely more than one episode out. There's probably only two episodes out. Let's see here. All right. So that's that show, and okay, so I watched two episodes of this show, Dead Mount Death Play. This is actually by the guy who did Durara and Bacano, which I was very surprised about because it doesn't feel anything like those shows. While both of those shows have massive casts and stuff, they're very different. Well, Bacano's like a mystery show about like the flying pussyfoot. I think that's what it's called. It's like a train and things, and there's a bunch of people on this train, and there's a mystery about this person who's supposedly killing a bunch of people and stuff, and they got to figure out who it is and what's going on. And then Durara is like, gang wars, gang violence and stuff in this town with a bunch of like strange happenings and things. Both of those shows are very good. You should definitely check them out. This show, I don't know, honestly, I didn't really like it that much. I know that there are a lot of people who are like, oh, this show is pretty interesting and I enjoy it and stuff, but wasn't really the biggest fan, I'm not gonna lie. It kind of starts off and I was just very confused. Like, it starts off in like this like old fantasy town, I guess. And like in this big cave, there's this one guy, he's like a hero. He has this evil eye, that's what they call it, and things. He can see ghosts all around him and whatnot. And he sees this big skeleton guy who's also like a necromancer. And this big necromancer is just in this cave, and he's kind of like protecting this cave. We don't know much about him yet. The hero attacks him and tries to kill him and things, but then the necromancer uses a specific spell that the main hero doesn't really know. And then the main hero, it seems like he kills him, but then we're transported into present day, and it seems like the hero is transported into the real world, and we're like, okay, what is going on? He has this scar on his neck, and we realize that he got killed. The person who was in the body before him, and he ends up taking over the body of this person who just got killed. And then he gets chased by this one girl with the glasses. She's like the classic, like, oh, I'm gonna kill you, and I like killing, and lust for killing, like that kind of girl. And then by the end of it, we realize that he still has magic powers and stuff, and he could actually use stuff. And there's a big twist at the end that I don't really want to go into, but just know that like he has magic in this actual world, and magic doesn't exist in this world. Then the second episode is he becomes a part of this group that tries to protect the peace or something, or like, I don't remember exactly what the group does. But the group they're responsible for some, I think some shady dealings actually, but they're actually not trying to do shady dealings or something. The main character gets enwrapped in them, and then he becomes like basically like a helper and things to like try to keep the peace, I guess. The reason why I didn't like it is I just didn't really like the first episode. I thought the first episode was kind of boring. The second episode was more interesting because we got to know more about the hero and such. So that was pretty interesting. Um, and then we get to hear his motivations and whatnot, and it was pretty interesting. Um, like Bacano and Durara, there is a lot of characters in this show. As you can see from the poster, look at all of them, so many. There's also a big problem with like tone shifting. This show seems like it wants to be serious, but then there are parts where it's like, in comedies and things, it goes to like a colored background, and then they're like all chibi, and then they're like panicking, or like they say something funny or something. That happens a lot in this show. Even though this show, like, if you look at like the colors here and the colors here and things, it's kind of dark and stuff, and like a lot of serious things happen. But then it switches between funny and serious a little too much. It's like they don't really know exactly what they want to be. It's kind of weird, honestly. Um, but yeah, that's Dead Mount Death Play. The opening was not bad, honestly. They're separating it into two parts, actually. So the first 12 episodes are this season. The next 12 episodes are next season, I believe, or something like that. I can't remember. It's something like that. Anyway, that's Dead Mount Death Play. We're gonna leave this one for last, but the last show. This really isn't a sequel, but I feel like I should mention it because it's kind of something new. It's like a spin-off. Give me one second. I'm gonna take a drink. All right, so it's a spin-off of Ranking of Kings before they get to the end of the previous work. At least the first episode, I think every episode is gonna lead up to like the end, but it's like side stories within the main work. So the side story in this one took place during well, if you don't know the original story, Bochi is like this character. He's deaf, and he can't speak. We don't know why at first, but what he wants to do is he wants to become a king. But unfortunately, his brother Daida becomes the king first, even though Boji is older, because they think Boji's kind of like, they kind of look down on him. Everyone looks down on him and stuff. Then he meets this one guy. His name is Kage, and Kage's kind of the same. He's also kind of an outcast, and the two of them together try to like, figure out how Boji can become a king and whatnot. And it's pretty wholesome. It's pretty fun. The story is really interesting. The characters are extremely good. The animation is very good. But anyway, Boji tries to strengthen himself in the show, and he meets this one guy named what's his face, Despa, and Despa tries to show him the ways of like strength in terms of Boji, because Boji is someone who's not very strong, but he's very agile, so he can dodge anything. He never gets hit. So the way this story works is that it takes place during the time that he's getting trained by Despa, and it's just like a bunch of little things. Like, Despa's low on money, so then they need to make money, and that's basically the entire thing. But then they realize that the money's not just money, it's actually a learning experience for them. It's how to be humble and whatnot. And then there's another story. It's like two stories in one. Then there's another story, and the story is like, Despa has a facial blemish, and the facial blemish is something that is barely noticeable. You can't see it. And then he notices that there is a natural remedy for it. There's like some fruit or something that's very dangerous, some mushroom or something, I can't remember. It's very dangerous to get, and Boji can't find it, but then he realizes that you can get some in this forest, so him and Kage go to this forest, and then he gets swindled by this, or no, Kage goes to the forest alone, and then he gets swindled by this old lady. This old lady makes him do a bunch of tasks, like clean her house and like carry her and like all that stuff. And then at the end, the old lady gives her a pie, and then they realize that pie is actually the pie filled with the thing that they're looking for. Whoa, it's crazy. I'm not gonna lie, this is kind of, I don't really like this. It's kind of boring. It's not that interesting. I feel it's just a bunch of side stories. I would have rather preferred them to just continue the main story because Ranking of Kings is good. Like it's very good. The second half kind of falters a little bit in my opinion, but Ranking of Kings itself is pretty interesting. I liked it a lot. Um, but yeah, I don't really like this spin-off. I might watch one more episode, but I didn't really like it. Now the granddaddy of them all, Oshinoko, my favorite. I love Oshinoko. It is incredible. Um, I'm already a big fan of the author of Oshinoko. It's the same author as the Kaguya author, and I love Kaguya. Kaguya is very good. Um, but yeah, Oshinoko was another thing because when I was reading Mashal, I saw that Oshinoko was some new manga that was coming out, so I read it, and I read like 20 chapters of it, and I was like, dang, this is really good. It starts off as something very different than what it actually is. Um, it's hard to explain without spoiling it, but I'll try my best. So, okay, so there's a main guy. His name is, what is it? Goro. He lives in a countryside town. He's a gynecologist, a male gynecologist, and that's someone who takes care of, womanly things, womanly issues concerning, their private areas. Um, he's uh, a very big fan of this one idol named Ai Hoshino, who's, the poster girl of the show. Everyone knows what she looks like. I'm not going to look her up, actually, because it's going to show something I don't really want. Um, but yeah, you saw her in my thumbnail, maybe, but she's that one girl who's like a very famous idol. She's right there, if you can see her right there, whatnot. Um, the, the doctor really likes her, but it's not because, he's just an idol simp, which, there are people who are like that and things. But he had a patient in the past who was a very big fan of idols. Um, the patient was very sickly and she ends up dying. She stayed in the hospital because she could never leave because she had some kind of like degenerative disease or something. I can't remember. But she ends up dying, and the main character ends up kind of liking this idol because she kind of liked it, and maybe he ended up liking it too. I don't know. Anyway, someone comes to the hospital because they're pregnant and they want to deliver the baby at this countryside town, but then we realize that person who's there is actually I herself, and the doctor's obviously shocked and things, but then she realizes, wait, I is like 16 and she had a baby, so they don't really know who the father is. They don't tell you, but yeah, I has this baby. They realize it's twins or whatnot, and they don't really know. They're like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. So then the main character, the gynecologist guy, helps her through the process of like, preparing herself for childbirth. Then before the childbirth, he goes outside, just trying to, catch some air and whatnot. And then he realizes that there's some guy like stalking her or whatnot. So then he tries to chase after him, can't find him. Guy pushes him down down a cliff. He dies, and it's very upsetting. And then he realizes that he ends up as the baby to I because she has two twins, and he ends up as the baby of I. And then there's another girl who's there who is also someone who got reincarnated into the baby of I, and the two of them kind of live as I's kids. They do all these different things. We learn about the entertainment industry. We learn about how predatory and dangerous it can be, but I still kind of shines through it and stuff. We learn about like how the industry is formed on lies and stuff, like lying gets you through it and stuff. They show the dark sides of the industry, which is one of the reasons why I like it so much, because the industry is not just all happy-go-lucky and stuff. And a lot of these things, they don't show the downsides to the entertainment industry. They mostly show the upsides, but there's a lot of more downsides and a lot more predatory things in the industry that people just don't really talk about or really know about. And that's kind of something that this show does and whatnot. It's also very funny. I like this show a lot. The characters are pretty good so far. I enjoy them. I like their backstories. I gets developed a lot too. She's like this character who got abandoned as a child. She lived in like what is it? In orphanages and things, and she never learns how to like be thankful or grateful for the things she has, I guess. She doesn't smile. She always just fake smiles because she's never really happy with her life and things. Um, and then she gets recruited by this one idol guy, and the idol guy is just like, it's fine to lie. The industry is formed on lies, and you have the face for becoming an idol and things, and I think you have the talent to become something great, and she does. She becomes something very great and whatnot. Um, Unfortunately, that's all I can say because uh, the actual story is complicated. It's not just like, oh, there's two babies, and they go through life and things as children, and they go through the entertainment industry. It's kind of like that, but not really. um, I can't really mention it without spoilers, so just watch the first episode. It is 90 minutes long. It's very long. um, but honestly, it's not that bad. The episode flies by. In terms of the adaptation, it is incredible because I read the first 20 volumes and they add a lot more. It looks great. It's by Doga Kobo. If you don't know who Doga Kobo is, they usually do a bunch of like Moe Blob shows. Um, I guess we'll sort by score this time. They did this show, Sleepy Princess. They did Plastic Memories. They did Nozaki, Yuri Yuri, New Game, stuff like that. They also did Gabriel Dropout, and they did things like Umaru and Senko. Like, they did a bunch of like that stuff. I think this is the first show besides Sing Yesterday to me. Where is it? Sing Yesterday to me was like a drama, and I was very surprised that they were doing something like this because Dokobo's known for Moe Blob stuff. Um, but yeah, I was surprised that they were picked up by Dogakobo for Oshinoko because I was like, I feel like this could go to a different studio, but they did a fantastic job. It covers the entire first volume, which is 10 chapters, and the chapters are kind of long, but yeah, it's good. You get to see the ups and downs of the industry and stuff. You get to see the industry itself, which is pretty cool. You get to see idol culture, how it's very predatory, and stalkers can do irreparable damage to people. And yeah, it's just idols don't make much money, stuff like that. It's very interesting. It reminds me a little bit of Act Age, which I'm very depressed about because I really wanted to read it, and I probably still will. But if you don't know what Act Age is, um, it's kind of like this show, but it only talks about like acting. Someone is amazed by her ability to be an actor and such, and then she finds someone tries to push her through the acting industry and such, and make her become a good actor. It was really cool and interesting, but unfortunately, the author got outed for what is it? It's either sexual assault or owning child pornography or something. It was bad. So unfortunately, it got canceled. Uh, but it's a two-person team, so that was just a writer. The author is doing something new now. I'm glad she could recover from it, but the guy got arrested. So yeah, I mean, I might still check it out because it sounds kind of like an interesting premise, but it will never continue, which sucks. In any case, that's Oshinoko. Oshinoko is great, and you should definitely check it out if you haven't. All right, that's Oshinoko. And that's everything in terms of the spring 2023 seasonals that I checked out, at least. Um, Now, let's go to another anime thing before I jump into like the live action, like animated stuff. So, Suzume. So here's Suzume. This is the next movie by the Weathering with You, Your Name guy. Um, I'm not gonna lie. I think he is kind of overrated. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't seen Your Name in a long time. I watched it like 2 or 3 times when it first came out, and I even have it on DVD. I think the story of that movie is pretty good. I don't remember it very well, but I don't think the characters are very good. I think he has trouble with characters and like building up romances and stuff because I don't think it's very good. Honestly, in Your Name, I don't believe it was that good, but I can't remember. I think the entire main story about like they kind of get body swapped and they learn more about each other and stuff, and then something bad happens where they can't communicate, and then they realize that there's like a it's like time travel, time difference type thing. It's really interesting, honestly, and I enjoyed it a lot. Um, but he's not the greatest at characters, in my own opinion. I think his characters are kind of bland. I think the stories kind of hold it up, and the animation and this music. Um, Weathering Ryu was kind of the same, but I honestly thought Weathering Ryu had better characters. I thought they were well established, and I thought they were all very interesting. I don't like the final choice of Weathering with You. Um, it's a pretty big choice, and he chooses the choice that I think is a little drastic, honestly. Can't really say it because of spoilers, but it is what it is. I actually made a Weathering with You review. Unfortunately, it was taken down, so it is. It will probably never be shown because Weathering with You, showing any footage of it, it gets copyright stricken. So I can't really make a review of it unless I want to do stills, which I don't really like doing. But I could do it. Maybe repost it one of these days, but I don't know. Anyway, we're getting a little bit off topic. Next movie is Susume. And Susume is about this girl. Her name is Susume, which honestly I didn't realize. I didn't think her name was just going to be the movie's title. Um, but I think the title in Japanese, how it's actually translated, is just Susume's door, or Susume's door locking, like it says here. Um, it's about a girl. Her name is Susume. She lost her mother when she was younger, and she still kind of thinks about this from day to day and such. For some reason, she realizes, or she sees something in the distance. She sees like this big red thing. It's like this thing, they call it the worm. And the worm is, it's something bad. It really is. It's like this ethereal creature thing. She runs towards it, and then she realizes that there's this door, just like in this random abandoned town. And she accidentally picks up something, and that something is actually something very important to the area, but she doesn't realize it yet, and we'll get to it later. Um, she meets this guy on the way to the place. His name is Sota, and that Sota guy is responsible for closing these doors because these doors have that big worm in it, and this big worm is basically a world ender. Um, if it does the things that it does, it could destroy the planet. It causes like these massive earthquakes and whatnot. Um, so yeah, that's Susume's. Oh no no. Okay, yeah, sorry, it accidentally played. But yeah, that's kind of Susume. After closing that door, they have to close it and lock it and things. We learn that Sota is this thing called oh, I don't remember exactly what it's called, but I actually wrote the review in my head because I was gonna do a video about this, so I know it a little bit. Let's see here. Oh, it's a closer. That's what it's called. He's a closer. Sorry, just give me 1 second. All right, yeah. He's this thing called a closer, and closers are responsible for closing these doors around the world, so that you can keep these like this big worm at bay and such. And he's the next closer. But what happened when Susume grabbed that object? That object is called the keystone. The keystone is supposed to hold the worm in place so it doesn't break out of these doors. But the worm ends up breaking out of these doors now because Susume accidentally picked up the thing. She picked up the keystone, and now the keystone is running away, and it curses Sota and turns him into a chair. So if you've seen all of like the promo images of like a chair, that chair is Sota. Sota gets transformed into a chair. Sorry, wait, let me pull up a picture of Sota actually. This is Sota right here. He is a ikimen, or a handsome man. Yeah, he's a college student, we learn throughout the film. The two of them, Susume and Sota, try to catch this keystone, and on the way to catch the keystone, they discover more doors and more worms, or the same worm, and then they have to catch the cat so that Sota can turn back to normal and close all these doors. So that's basically essentially the plot. There's a bigger theme at play here, but if I say the theme, it's kind of a spoiler, so I don't really want to say it too much. The way this story wraps up is kind of nice, but again, there's a big problem because it doesn't develop the characters well enough, in my opinion. I think the two characters don't get enough time alone to really talk and like flesh things out and really like be characters. We don't know much about them except he's a closer, he's a college student, and he wants to be a teacher. And then the girl, Suzume, is a student. And that's about it, honestly. She's a student. Her mother passed away. She's still kind of reeling with the loss, but she doesn't really talk about it that much, honestly. Um, and that's kind of about it. They don't really develop the characters too much. We learn more about them. They don't really feel like they have a good relationship, honestly. It's kind of just like, I think it's kind of surface level in my opinion and stuff. I think the movie could have benefited more if they leaned harder into the Susume's mother's death. She couldn't really like deal with it and stuff. Um, and then throughout the movie, she could like repair um, like that part of herself and kind of cope and whatnot. Um, I think the supernatural stuff in his works are really interesting. Like I like learning about like there was this cloud world and the weathering with you, and there's like this time travel aspect in Your Name and stuff. And in this one, there's like these doors, and the doors lead to this place called the Ever After, which is like basically like a heaven, sort of. Only the deceased can go there and whatnot. And it's like this ethereal world, and I want to learn more about this ethereal world in the closers, but they don't talk about it at all. It's terrible. It's very upsetting. Let's see what else. I'm looking through my review thing that I wrote about. So supposedly he didn't want to do a conventional romance for this movie. I saw some Twitter posts talking about it, and he actually wanted to make this a Yuri, so girl on girl and things, and that could be interesting. But instead, the studio told him, we want to make it a conventional romance again, kind of like Your Name. So instead of doing that, he made the protagonist a chair, which is kind of funny, to lessen the romance. So that's probably not really the point of this movie, the romance, even though it happens. Honestly, I don't think they should have tacked on a romance. I think if they just became good friends, and then maybe the main character could have been like a closer with Sota, they could go around places and stuff and like close things together. Maybe they could develop more of a romance there. But that's not really what happens. I wish they were just friends. Is just all I want. And that's kind of what I want in all of these movies. I wish they were just friends because they literally just meet each other and then they love each other. It's like Romeo and Juliet. But yeah. The side characters, there's a couple of side characters. There's Susume's aunt, she's kind of important in things. Her aunt takes her in after her mother passes away, and she's responsible for Susume and things, but it seems like their relationship is kind of strained at the moment. I wish their relationship could have been a little bit more repaired, and we could have seen more about it. There's only a couple scenes where we see both the aunt and Susume together, and in those scenes, it's very fast because the whole movie focuses on Susume and Toji. Sota. Why did I say Toji? And they're trying to close these doors. I thought that's what the whole movie was gonna be. It just felt like Kingdom Hearts, kind of, where they go to these doors, they have keyholes, and they close the key and stuff. Like, that's kind of funny. But yeah, that's kind of what happens for the first half of the movie. But then the second half of the movie, they have to go back to. There's one more door they have to close, and that door was a door that Susume actually wandered into when she was younger, and they have to figure out something there. So she goes with her aunt and the friend of Sota, who's just like this random university student friend for him. He's not really built up or anything. He's kind of just a friend, and he's responsible for driving them there, and that's about it. So Yeah, it's just I wish they went further with the characters because this could be so good. Like the themes of this movie are good, and the ending of this movie could be good as well, but they don't expand upon it in the movie itself. So I don't think it's just. I mean, the movie is good. Don't get me wrong. It's good, but it could be better. It's just like my new review of Cyberpunk Edgerunners. It's good, but it could be better if it was enhanced in certain ways. I was looking at some reviews for this, and a lot of people think that this is the best one. I don't know, honestly. I think the characters of Weathering with You are better. I think they're all fleshed out, and I actually think the story of. Well, the story was interesting for Weathering with You, but I think the themes of Susume are better, but I think the story might be better for Susume, or not Susume, Weathering with You. I don't know, though. Kind of just rambling now, I feel like. Maybe I have to watch it again. I want to watch Weathering with You and Your Name again to see if they hold up, see differences and whatnot. But yeah, that's kind of Susume in a nutshell. I just wish it was stronger. Let's see if I missed anything. Yeah, that's about it. I just wish it was stronger. The framework's there, everything is there. Uh, Story's good, the themes are good, the characters are not good. Um, it's better to have good characters, no story, than good story, bad characters. Because if there's a good story, it's great. But if the characters don't do anything and they're not interesting, then why do we care, you know? And that's kind of how I felt with Susume a little bit. But again, the themes are very good. Anyway, moving on to the actual movies that I saw. These probably won't be very long, honestly. These are probably going to be pretty short. Because I don't really have much to say about them. Well, actually, no, I do. A little bit for the Mario movie. The Mario movie. 2 tickets to the Mario movie. Have you seen that meme? That meme is kind of funny. It's not for the Mario movie though. It's for the Barbie, the Barbie movie, where they have like buff guys or like serious guys, and it's like 2 tickets to the Mario movie, please. I like that. It's kind of funny. Um, so the Mario movie, did I like it? Yes, I did. I thought the movie was incredible. Actually, I came in with no expectations. I thought the movie was gonna be not good, honestly, because it's a video game movie. Video game movies aren't that great, but the movie ended up being really good. Um, Everyone complained about Chris Pratt, but I thought he did a good job here. You might have heard many people talk about these various this movie a lot. There was a lot of people who did reviews on it. I thought Mario did a good job. I thought Chris Pratt did a good job. Um, I like how they give character to these characters that previously had no character, and it's not like a lot. It's not like super deep, but at least they give the characters something. Like there's a relationship between Mario and Luigi. You actually get to see his family, which is strange. It's kind of weird. Um, Mario kind of gets looked down upon because he quit his job to become a plumber, and his family and everyone else around him thinks he's kind of just like, why did you do that? That's such a dumb idea and stuff. And he gets sad, and nobody really appreciates him. And Luigi kind of comforts him and is just like, well, um, I'm here for you, and we have an unbreakable bond and stuff. And like their bond is kind of strengthened and stuff, and it's really nice. And they established that really well in the beginning. Like they start in Brooklyn, and they're plumbers, and obviously they get sucked into the world of the Mushroom Kingdom. Uh, the biggest part that I don't really like is the separation of Mario and Luigi. It kind of sucks because Luigi's barely in the movie until the very end, but it's kind of necessary, honestly, because they established how great they are together. Um, and there's a motivation for Mario to actually go through the Mushroom Kingdom and get Bowser because Luigi is taken by Bowser. So there's some good motivations there. And then when we meet Peach, it's really interesting too because they talk about Peach and they talk about how she's a human. And I'm like, what? She is? I was, okay, yeah, that was kind of interesting. Obviously, they make her a lot better. She's not just a damsel in distress anymore. She actually does things, which is nice. Um, yeah, she's like, I don't want to say it, but she's like girl boss. It's fun. Well, she's just strong and confident and stuff. Like instead of just being a damsel in distress, which is nice because she's lived in the Mushroom Kingdom for a long time. Um, they actually established her backstory of being like someone who stumbled into the Mushroom Kingdom. The Toads kind of took her in. Then she became strong and confident, and then they crowned her a princess of the kingdom and stuff, and that's how she's been there and whatnot. And Peach and Mario's journey is kind of interesting. They go to the DK Kingdom, which is nice. They see Donkey Kong, they see all the Kongs. Um, Donkey Kong becomes part of the party, and then they take the army of the Kongs and things, and they go to Bowser's Castle, obviously. And it's just like, like they go there to rescue Luigi and things, and it's fun. Like every part of it it's fun. Like uh, there's obviously a lot of references in this movie, and I thought this movie was just gonna be like reference after reference, like oh look at this, oh look at that. But the references are there in the background. They actually kind of fit what's happening in the story. Like there's a Mario Kart sequence, but the karting sequence is really important because it's them heading to the mushroom or not the Mushroom Kingdom, heading to Bowser's castle and stuff with the army, and they're fighting Bowser's minions while going to the castle. But it's Mario Kart, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. And then there's all these like a bunch of little references. Like there's a Punch Out reference. There's a bunch of Nintendo references. I thought it was just gonna be Mario stuff, but it's actually Nintendo based, which was pretty interesting. Honestly, I liked that. Um, what else can I say about the movie? Everyone did a good job. I liked every character in this movie. Every character was interesting. Um, DK was interesting. I liked him a lot actually. I think DK he's kind of played as this young kid who like doesn't really who's just kind of full of himself and stuff, and his father, who's Cranky Kong, is like well, Donkey Kong kind of wants approval from Cranky Kong, and it's kind of like a whole thing. And then Mario and Donkey Kong end up being alone in one part of the movie, and they kind of like connect because both of their fathers kind of like look down upon them and they want their approval and stuff. It's kind of just like a fun, interesting moment and things. Um, there was a huge thing with the Mario movie. Everyone was debating about it and saying like, "Oh, the Mario movie sucks." Like a bunch of critics were saying that, but I feel like they're expecting like some highbrow movie. It was just a Mario movie. Like it's not super deep in terms of themes. It's not super deep in terms of like the story and stuff. Like it's just fun, and they put enough in it to make you interested. Like if the characters were just like the game where they had no character, then it would be kind of bad. And if there was no like advising from actual Nintendo, this movie could have been terrible because it was made by Illumination. And Illumination makes some fine stuff, honestly. Like they're not my favorite studio, but like they're not terrible. Um, but yeah, I thought everything was really good. It looks really nice too, like visually. It's probably Illumination's best looking work. Um, yeah, I like all the character designs too. They're all really nice. But yeah, that's the Mario movie. I really enjoyed it, and I think if you guys like Mario, and if you even don't like Mario, I think the movie is still pretty good to watch. It's pretty fun and interesting. But yeah, that's the Mario movie. And now the last thing that we're gonna do is the Tetris movie. I put Tetris movie. Just put Tetris. Um, so the Tetris movie is about like uh, it's about the founding of Tetris and things, how it was created, um, and licensing issues. Because it's actually a really interesting story. Because licensing for Tetris was actually very complex because they had to get it out of the USSR. It's very tough. It was contracted by one company who said they had it, but then they actually didn't have it. So then there was a lot of internal disputes and things. It's talked their ways out of situations, and it's really interesting, honestly. Um, the film's shot well, obviously. It's very nice. Um, I like the characters a lot. Like obviously they're based on real people and stuff, but like the dynamic between Alexei, who's the creator of Tetris, and the main character, who's played like Taron Egerton, um, they established this connection, which is really nice because in real life they formed the Tetris company. So that was pretty nice to see. the movie can be pretty intense, even in just like the meeting scenes and stuff. Like it's pretty good. Obviously, there's some like embellishment of like the events where it's like, oh, this is a little too like over the top, because it's Hollywood and stuff. But like for the most part, it's pretty subdued. There's a chase scene at the end where I'm just like, okay, this is a little too much, but like the main story of it was actually pretty interesting. Like they followed it pretty well. If you want to see like a full story of it and stuff, there's a documentary by the gaming historian. Pretty good. I enjoy that one a lot. I think it's very good. Um, this one is more like a Hollywoodized version, but there's still a lot of good things about it. Like there's a lot of good dynamics. Like you learn a lot about the character, the main character guy, how he struggles really hard to get this licensing rights for like arcades or like licensing rights for consoles and whatnot. Like there's a lot of struggle and strife through this whole time. Um, but yeah, the way the movie portrays it is very good, and I enjoyed it a lot. Unfortunately, it's only on Apple TV, which kind of sucks because there's not much. Well, I mean, there's a lot on Apple TV, but like I feel like people don't really have Apple TV, and there's so many streaming services. Um, so yeah, it can be tough if you don't really want to watch it on Apple TV. There's a free trial though, so it's not too bad. There's also like little like parts where it's like um, there's like 8-bit parts in the movie which are kind of fun. It's like, oh, that's kind of fun. And then there's like during the chase scene and stuff, you can see it here. They add like effects, like pixel effects and stuff. It's kind of weird, but like it's just to make it a little more gamey, I guess. Like it's whatever, I guess. I wasn't too bothered by it and such, but it was fine. Yeah, it was. I enjoyed the movie. It's a little bit long, but like it's good. It was definitely enjoyable. Um, and yeah, that's about it. In terms of all the spring seasonals, in terms of the Mario movie, in terms of Tetris, in terms of Susume, that's about everything. Yeah, I wanted to try to do this because the seasonal reviews they're big time commitments and stuff. Like I don't mind making them. It's just there's other things that I want to do in the meantime, but the seasonal reviews just take up a lot of time because I'm not the fastest editor, and there's a lot. There's a lot to the seasonal reviews and stuff. And as you can tell, maybe by today, there wasn't really much, at least in depth, that I wanted to talk about for some of them. So I think it was fine, I guess. Um, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna make this into a video because I could just make this into like a stream highlights video and such. But yeah, that's about it for today. Soon you'll see a new video by me for another what I've been watching to video, and then you'll also see something else. Maybe another video in the meantime. I'm not sure. But yeah, that video will be out maybe sometime this week or next week. I'm not sure. But anyway, yeah. So that's about it, and I'll see you guys next time.